Hi, I'm State Senator Kate Brophy McGee, and I'm here today to talk all things Arizona small businesses. My guest is the Executive Director of the Arizona Small Business Association, my good friend, Jess. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator. I'm glad to be here.
So it's great to have you here. This COVID crisis has been a crisis in the public health sector, but it's also been a crisis for our Arizona small businesses. I know the federal government has passed legislation and appropriated massive amounts of dollars for Arizona, for small businesses, and it's come here to Arizona. Can you talk to me a little bit about the resources that have been made available to Arizona small businesses and how those programs are implemented?
You know, the significant ones have been the federal programs, the PPP they refer to it, payroll protection. And that's been kind of in two different fundings. The first funding was fully distributed, and I think probably they were perhaps surprised by the number of requests, and so they went through that pretty quickly. And of course, there was controversy about some of the big guys getting a whole bunch of money. The good news, many of them gave the money back. So public companies, that kind of a thing. So, but it was really intended for small to medium-sized businesses, and so it was well intended, and for the most part, I think has been helpful. I mean, I know of some local companies that I spoke with one the other day that said that they were, that it gave them a cushion to navigate these next few months. You know, one of the things I keep saying is the difficult part of all this is that, as humans, we don't like it when we don't know what we don't know, and what's even worse about this is we don't know how long we're not going to know, what we don't know. So that all of that uncertainty has been so difficult for our businesses. A couple of quotes here about business, and I'll get back to your question. But I said the businesses are not sure where to turn. Operational rhythms are upset. Navigating complex issues, powerless in the face of great change, and to survive strategic inflection points is what these businesses are faced with now. So the PPP program, and then and that's you go to your local bank and apply for it there, and then the federal government is guaranteeing those loans, and that is there's a grant component that is kind of free money. And they have that component, and then if you're using the funds to retain employees, and there's guidelines that you've got to comply with, then that becomes a forgivable loan. So that's been great for businesses. And so there's that piece, and then there's an EIDL loan, and that is an SBA loan effectively, and it's a working capital term loan that can be structured pretty favorably relative to how long it takes to pay it back, and the interest rate was like 1%. Both of them, no surprise, anytime federal government comes up with these big programs, there was a lot of confusion in the beginning, still is to a certain degree. I know that we did a quick survey. I like to, the best we can, get pretty quick feedback on what people are going through. So it said that less than 22% of the 460 people that surveyed submitted applications, and 22% of them had been approved. 3/4 have received confirmation but have not been notified of approval, and 65% experienced some challenge with it all. So it's just been a process to get through, but it's all laced with this anxiety that one of the doors is going to get open. Right. So that's the difficult part. So from the state leader, local leader point of view, anything we can be doing, and I know there are limitations. I mean, it's just really a difficult situation these businesses we're all facing, because all of us have friends that own businesses.
Well, and I've been swamped. My legislative office, I've reached out obviously to your association, to the Local First folks, to City of Phoenix has some loan programs. There is so much anxiety and angst. You and I were talking about this earlier today related to the staying power of small businesses.
Right.
And at the beginning when we shut down, and I thank the governor for doing that because
Yes.
I think it made a difference.
I agree.
When we shut down, the choice was between lives and livelihoods.
Right.
But I'm hearing increasing cries from the small business community that they simply can't go on. Can you share some information related to that?
So, you and I both have similar backgrounds, having been bankers, is that these small businesses have limited resources, savings accounts, to get through this kind of thing. It was just, who could have anticipated this?
Mm-hmm.
So the challenge is, what our tact is this, is that we know that at this point, there's probably limited resources that are going to be coming to small businesses relative to funding, more capital. I mean, even the U.S.,
Right.
the government is limited. So, back to my comment about, so the key for me is I think we need to do is, and we are doing, is how do we close the gap? The wild card, and I'll get back to that, the wild card for me is consumer confidence.
Yes.
And what I mean by that is that I've done this very informal survey of talking to friends and say, when are you going to be comfortable to go back into a restaurant or jump on a plane? And, people are concerned about that.
Yeah.
So, as a restaurant owner, then, what we're working on now, and I as more details become available down the road, I'll share with you. But what I want to do is accelerate the gap between, to just get more people in seats, get more people shopping. And so I think that so many of these small businesses don't have a great deal of experience or deep experience in social media. So one of the things we did is with these two finance programs that the government provided, with the support of actually Jessica Pacheco at APS was a real, really was the lead on this and came to us. And we did a series of webinars. We're just about to finish them. So we did one series for experienced borrowers, and that was a 3-series webinars, three different weeks, and it helped them understand what the process to apply. If you were an inexperienced borrower, we took them a little bit through some of our old classes, and what's a balance sheet look like, and the 5 C's of credit, and that kind of a thing, to give them some context to it all. So we did that, and that was really quite successful and well received. So I want to extend that now to some online seminars for social media. What can they do to, again, expedite getting people into their businesses? Again, so many of them can't do that. So can we make that affordable? Can we put a bunch of them together almost like a co-op and have access to some experts in that area? So again, the key is, the whole goal is, how quickly can we regain consumer confidence? How quickly can we get people walking in the door to our local businesses? That's the key.
Oh, that is absolutely key.
Yeah.
As we begin to gradually turn up the dimmer switch, it's been my experience, I stayed home pretty much for a month, except for taking time out to do a blood drive and a food bank drive. But as you step out, I think you begin to remember, like we started having our team meetings and Takeout Tuesday with Team Kate, that type of thing. I think people will get back into the swing. What can we do now and going forward as Arizonans to support our local businesses?
I think the biggest thing that we can do from kind of a macro point of view is really getting that message out. Is that more than ever, and we need to take that down to, so many of, Phoenix is such a big city now.
Yes.
And we're, and that's kind of good news, bad news. But, I go out to the Glendale area as an example, and, I know you were born in Arizona, so was I. I was born in Phoenix, and I get out to some of these areas, I go, I remember this was all agriculture, and I'm lost out here. But the great news is, my point is that Glendale or West Valley, Litchfield Park, they have their own identity. They have their own base of businesses. So I think, we need to think local in terms of supporting our businesses. We need to get that message out that they need us. And I know here in this, we happen to be in the 36th Street and Campbell area, kind of, Arcadia. I mean, you've got Scottsdale, South Scottsdale. So many of these places have a particular identity. I think, it's important to really get that local message down within the residents of those marketplaces to support their local businesses. I mean, that's the key. We've got to get consumers out confident and buying. And just like you said, it's a little like in sports. I think they call it muscle memory. It's consumer memory. We've got to get them out there going. I remember this, and this was a good thing. I need to continue to do it.
I have my shopping memories and my haircut memories, and I think people really miss that.
Yes.
We're social animals.
Absolutely.
We want to come back.
Yeah.
We want to be with our friends. We want to be with our local businesses.
Right.
I'm very, very grateful for the work the Arizona Small Business Association is doing for their members.
You bet.
I've put your information, your association's information, as well as a number of other small business resources on my website, KateMcGee.com, under COVID-19.
Yes.
Because not only am I dealing with unemployment, requests from constituents, work as I do as chair of the Health and Human Services Committee with the hospitals, the healthcare workers, also recognizing first responders, but it's those small businesses.
Yep, that's the key.
One of the highlights I've noticed is, I think there's, her name is Jenny Poon, and she founded the group Cahoots, the Small Business Cahoots.
Yep. She spoke at one of our seminars.
So
really talented, dynamic.
She's a millennial, and she had a 3-segment series for small businesses about cutting expenses, paring down, and getting ready to scale back up.
Right.
I know I was at Carl's Bakery the other day. They've broken down their kitchen. They've completely cleaned it. It's ready to go once the doors reopen. So seeing that type of activity go on tells me I hope we're not too far away. What are your prognostications for recovery?
I think and I probably, like you, read a lot. I mean, some people, The Economist. I'm not an economist. They talk about a V where it's down and it bounces right back up, which would be awesome. Everything I've read says that 2021 is going to be a good year, for Arizona. I mean, the great news is for Arizona, I think we're as well positioned as anybody in the country to have to return to a wonderful economy. So that's the great news for all of us. It just goes back to what we've been talking about. It's just a matter of which of those small businesses can survive this next 6 months or so. So it's just continuing with a positive message. Support your local businesses, and likewise, back to my social media comment about small businesses, is we want to help them get their message out. Hey, we've got a clean environment. We've got our waiters and waitresses are wearing masks, or they'll accommodate you with whatever it may be that's going to make you feel comfortable. And they've got to get that message out. There's a different challenge today, I think, to earn that business back. And I think people they want to go back. That's the good news, is the demand is there. So it's just a question of getting it back in. So my sense is, based on what I've read, is that the end of this, through the end of this year, will potentially be challenged, and will continue to mend up. But there's every reason, from what I read, that 2021 will return to health. And maybe be much more cognizant of how we live and quality of life and that kind of a thing. So there could be some good things that come out of it.
You make such a good point about Arizona being well positioned compared to 2008 in particular. I've taken a lot of heat for the $1 billion rainy day fund. I have never been more grateful that we have that at our disposal, plus the hundreds of millions of federal dollars coming in to support us. So I just wanted to say thank you.
You bet.
Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for taking the time to talk to my constituents, to talk to us all about the future of small business in Arizona. It's a bright future.
It is a bright future, and I couldn't be more pleased about. I've got 2 granddaughters here that live here, and kids, and so I'm excited about them growing up here in a wonderful environment.
So Jess, again, I wanted to thank you for taking time out of your busy day to come and talk to us about all things Arizona small businesses. The future is bright. Arizona's future is bright. We will get through this, and we will emerge stronger than ever. Thank you.